Here's a segment from this month's edition of St. Charles Parish Today, a new monthly local talk show.
For more than 20 years, St. Charles Parish officials have been pushing for construction of a levee that would protect our parish's West Bank from dangerous storm surges. There have been many strategies and even more setbacks. But the project remains foremost in the minds of parish leaders, and progress is being made. This year, the parish submitted a permit to pave the way for construction of the Willow Ridge phase to be built to the south of the Luling subdivision. And officials continue to meet with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and other regulatory agencies to get the project moving in the right direction. I'd like to welcome Parish President Vijay St. Pierre to the show to discuss the latest on this very important infrastructure project. Thank you so much for coming in and being on the show today.
Thank you, Renee.
First of all, can you give us a brief overview of the project and its proposed alignment?
The proposed alignment is on the wet-dry interface on the south side of Willow Ridge subdivision. It's all except for one part where it actually crosses an area of like 84 acres where Rathbone Land Company was originally going to develop, but they couldn't get a permit from the Corps. So we're planning on crossing that little section that they were going to make a subdivision and then tie it into the Cousins pumping station.
Okay, and that Willow Ridge phase that you're referring to is very important. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the parish is doing to help expedite that?
Well, since we've gotten in office, that was our main focus. I'm really frustrated by the events that happened over 2.5 years. I was almost certain we'd have that permit in six months to a year, but dealing with the Corps and all of the DNR and different agencies, every time you submit certain information to them, they come back, they want more information. So we're going back and forth, but I think everything's been lined out except two main issues. One is the mitigation of, because we have prestige oak trees and cypress trees along that wet-dry interface, we have to mitigate land. And what that means is that there are land mitigation banks around the state that have similar type land that we are taking for the levee. So the Corps is trying to decide how much mitigation land that the St. Charles Parish is going to have to buy. Right now, they originally started off with 3 acres for every acre we take. We're going to need 42 acres for the levee, so we got to mitigate 62 acres of mitigation land, and that can range from anywhere from 20,000 to 80,000 an acre. So it's going to be quite an expense to the parish.
Yeah, very much so. So in the past, you've talked about how it's important to build the entire levee at one time instead of focusing on one phase, because this levee would protect about 30,000 people on the West Bank. Why do you say that? Well,
because it's in southeast Louisiana. If you ever fly an airplane and got over St. Charles Parish, if you look, there's Lake Cotahuachi to the south and Lake Pontchartrain to the north, and there's not that much land in between. So the reason why I'm saying we have to build a whole levee, because we don't have tie-in points where we can have a levee and then have pumps to pump it out. And whereas if we built a levee and just pumped over the levee, all we would do is be circulating the levee, circulating the water, because the water be coming around the levee. So we got to build a whole levee, then build a pumping station so we can pump it out over the levee.
Right, makes a lot of sense. You talked a little bit about the funding issues as far as mitigation. Why is it so important that the parish get outside funding to fund this particular project?
Well, we have an estimated cost of $150 million to build a complete levee from Davis Diversion to the Parody Canal with a pumping station, $150 million. The parish has right now set aside $12 million. We try to set aside about $2 million every year. Our hopes is that we just applied for some capital outlay money from the state, where I know they're not going to give us $150 million in one shot, but maybe every year they can give us a couple million, right, in conjunction with the couple million that we're going to put in, that we can go ahead and build the levee. My hopes is that once we receive the permit, is that we can build a small levee to like a +4 that would protect us from categories 1 and 2 and 3 hurricanes.
Right, just get done what can be done at the moment. So
that's right. That. And then if we can do that, if we can get it to a +4, we can bring in temporary pumps and pump it over the levee, and that would protect our citizens.
Okay. All right, was there anything else you'd like to add about the levee?
No, I'm just hoping that by the end of the year, we, every time I say we're close to getting the permit, we move it back. They move it back 6 months. So I'm hoping by the end of the year we can have that permit in hand. And we really can't buy the land until we actually know what surface area we're going to have. So once we get the permit, we can go in with surveyors, survey the land. We're going to know what the footprint is, and that's going to tell us how many acres we really have to buy.
So a lot of good things happening, even though there may not be a visible thing there.
I want the citizens to know that that is our priority, And like I say, it's so frustrating. I get emotional when I talk about it because you know, it seems so simple of a solution to us, but when you're talking to these scientists and these geologists and these people that deal with the environment every day, they got a different outlook on it.
Right.
Well, catch the entire episode right here on Channel 6, daily at 5 p.m., or watch anytime at scptoday.com.